Morning, ladies. Congratulations on making the NCAA tournament again. We are going to, at this time, open the floor up for questions.
Thanks for the time. Thomas Costello, Land-Grant Holy Land. Question for Cotie and Taylor. Can you compare, last year the team came in as a number 2 seed. You were kind of flying into the postseason. Can you compare what it's like going into the postseason this year compared to last year?
Yeah, I mean, just compared to last year with our seeding, I feel like whether we're a 1 seed or 4 seed, it doesn't matter. All our opponents are going to be tough. I think we're just going to go in with just a mindset to execute our game plan, just play our game, and not worry about outside factors.
And also follow up, just how confident the team was last season in winning the Big Ten title, and this year kind of having to fight in games towards the end of the season. Would you rather be in a position where you're coming in after having to fight in games, or coming in where you're like, okay, we obviously can do this?
I mean, kind of both, but I would rather come in, having to kind of fight with the games that we've had to come in and kind of have that under our belt, but also it just comes with how our energy is from the start. I would say Big Ten tournament, first game our energy was great, second game dead, even during warm-ups. So I just feel like as long as we find that energy and that fight from everyone and not just 1-2 people, I mean, we can really do anything.
Brandon McKay, Columbus Dispatch. Cotie, I first want to ask, obviously you left that game early with an arm injury. Just how are you feeling after that?
Feeling good, feeling better.
And this is for both either you or Taylor. You guys have had success coming in first round. You guys have always won the first round. How do you guys do it being a higher seed, making sure that you guys aren't looking too far ahead in this tournament?
I mean, honestly, just going to the game with a chip on our shoulder, just anything can happen. So I don't think we want to take any of these opportunities for granted. And I just think we're just going to come in and execute our game plan like I keep saying. Just doesn't matter who we're playing as long as we're just executing what we're supposed to do. I think we'll be fine.
Bob McCormick with the Buckeye Sports Bulletin. This is for any of you. I guess what are the specific takeaways you had when looking at Montana State on tape? What, I guess, stands out from what you guys have seen?
I'd say they are a little taller as far as everybody on the court. I'd say they have 1 or 2 guards who are probably 5'10"-ish, but the rest of them are pretty tall. They have really good defensive pressure. They play in the passing lanes really well. Offense, they're not stagnant at all. They move a lot. So I think for us, just staying poised on defense and making sure that we're not taking a break, we're not resting, because they move really well off the ball and on the ball. And then as far as our offense, making sure that we execute and just do what we do, making the extra pass when needed. Hopefully we can get going in transition. I feel like we would thrive against them to kind of just push the ball because they do press. And yeah.
This one is for any of you, but I suppose more Ajae and Taylor. How much pressure, I guess, and urgency is there for, March Madness when this could be the end of the season and, end of the career, and how do you sort of keep those emotions in check so that you guys can still play your best?
I don't think it's really pressure. I would just say, you kind of view it as an opportunity. You try to go out and play your hardest every time you're stepping on the floor. So if you view it as pressure, then it's going to make you nervous. So I just try not to view it that way and try to think of it thanking God that I get another chance to go out and play the game that I love to play. So.
Taylor, do you want to respond to that as a senior as well?
I mean, it's basically the same thing. Try not to think about it that way, just viewing it as another opportunity to come out and compete with my teammates.
Matt Andrews, Ohio State Radio. Ajae, let me ask you about the end of the year. Your double-double string has been pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. What has clicked? What has changed? Does some of that come from Katie and working with her? Where do you get the fuel, I guess, to do what you've done lately?
I think it's just consistency. Obviously, first coming in, I didn't perform the way that I wanted to perform, and it hasn't been as consistent as I would like it to be. But I think a lot of it has been my faith, like relying on God and trusting in His timing. It's a lot of times where I feel like I work extremely hard. I'm always here working out outside of practice. And I work with all of the coaches, not just Katie. I work with Ryan. I work with JP. I work with Carla. I try to work and pick all of their brains because they all have different things that they can provide me with. So I would just say the biggest thing for me has been just relying a lot on my faith. When things have been really hard for me, I just continue to try to think like, hey, like you can learn from whatever's going on and just continue to try to do what I know how to do. Because obviously coming in like last year, I averaged a double-double where I was at, all of those different things. So just knowing that I have it inside of me and not just looking at the challenges that I've faced. So.
Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. For Cotie, you've mentioned before that this team needs to be more consistent, especially on the defensive end. What do you think it takes here now that it's, tournament time for you all to find that consistency on a game-to-game basis?
Just fight. I mean, the want to lock in on defense. I don't know. I feel like hopefully going into this tournament, like we find a different notch and, everybody's on the same page and everybody realizes that this could really be our last game for the season. But I feel like that goes with anything. Like I feel like we have the capability to play defense. We can be a good defensive team when we all are on the same page and all have a fight to want to play defense. I feel like that's just where we lack, and that's not just on the defensive end either.
You mentioned that need to find a different notch. Do you feel like this team has ever really played its best basketball this year, or is there a different level you all need to get to if you're going to make a run in this tournament?
Honestly, I don't think there was a game where we've played our best basketball. So that could be a bad thing, but I look at it as kind of a good thing. Like, we have this last opportunity to kind of prove to people that, we are the Ohio State team that, has been on the radar for the past couple of years. So, I mean, we still have a couple more games to prove it. It's if we choose to prove it or not.
Victor Flores, 406 MT Sports. For Ajae and Taylor, same question that Cotie got earlier. What stands out most about Montana State?
I would just say their versatility, just being able to sit down and defend. That would be the biggest thing, just to build on also what Cotie was saying. Like, they move well without the ball. They are big, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, they can shoot the ball well. I think they're ranked 4th in the NCAA for their points off turnovers, so I feel like we do a pretty good job of scoring off turnovers, but they do an even better job. So I think we just have to take care of the ball on offense and just make sure we're executing the best of our ability.
For any of you, both teams are top 10 in steals, so what do you guys do especially well to get so many steals and turnovers?
Definitely our 22. I mean, I feel like that's where it kind of starts. That's like our energizer, I would say, especially when it's going well. And then just, coming out of 22 and playing half-court defense after that. I mean, 22 can mess a lot of people's heads up, especially just because of the pressure. So going back into half-court, it's everybody's brains are kind of frantic on offense, and that just opens the door for us to kind of get steals.
Steve Hellwagon with Bucknuts.com here in Columbus. For Cotie and Taylor, undefeated at home this year, and this weekend you have an opportunity with the win over Montana State, play 2 games here to advance. Just how important is it for home court advantage for you guys? You've worked so hard to get it. And just the thought last year that you weren't able to maintain it against Duke in the tournament. That's the last game you guys have lost here. So just your thought about that.
I think, especially for me and TT, it's not something that we want to feel again. Not being able to win both games. It definitely hurt us a lot, I would say. Having the chance to host an NCAA tournament is just, it's crazy. Like, it's not every day where, a lot of teams get to do what we do and have the opportunity to do what we do. So, I mean, I just say, like, hopefully everybody really understands how big and how serious this is. And two, like, we kind of tell them, like, it didn't feel good. So we kind of don't want to repeat that same incident we did last year.
Taylor, any thoughts?
Yeah, basically the same thing, but I think it just also goes to credit for how good our fans are. I feel like they play a crucial role in the success that we've had here. So we obviously just appreciate their support, but like Cotie said, it definitely stung last year not being able to win the 2 games out here. We're just not trying to repeat that, so we're going in with a different mindset this year.
Any other questions internally here? I don't see any on the Zoom, so ladies, we'll let you get back to the locker room.
Thank
you very
you.
much, and all the best. Folks, we'll have Kevin McDuff up here at 11:05. Again, the Ohio State locker room is open until 11:15, and then the first 15 minutes of practice, which starts at 11:30, will be open. Totally opposite side of the building, so yeah. Michael, we good to go then? Okay. Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
And I'll let that serve as your opening statement.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
Folks,
So
we'll
we're
open
ready.
we'll open up the floor for questions for Coach Kevin McDuff.
Coach, Bobby Ward with the Buckeye Sports Bulletin. What specifically stands out to you about Montana State on film? You know, what impresses you, and what do you guys need to specifically key in on in this game?
Well, one, they've won 30 games, so they're used to winning, and they're very well coached. They play extremely hard. They've got a little bit of a unique defensive system where they pick up full court and try to disrupt in that manner. They've got an outstanding guard and post player. They play a little bit of small ball, which we don't see a lot of for the most part throughout the year, so it's going to be a little bit of a different matchup for us. But I think the biggest thing is they play extremely hard and they win a lot.
Matt Andrews, Ohio State Radio. Kevin, you talked a lot about the inconsistency game to game of your team. We're in March.
Like quarter to quarter.
The urgency now, how do you infuse that at this time of year?
Well, we've really tried to emphasize it, in between the Big Ten tournament and heading into tomorrow's matchup. And so I think that'll be the biggest key for us is just being able to get more consistent play and just being the best version of ourselves for closer to 40 minutes than we've had at times this year.
Parker Cotton with the Bozeman Daily Chronicle. Kevin, you mentioned an outstanding guard for Montana State. I'm sure you're meeting Esmeralda Morales. Can you
Yes.
take us through what kind of threat maybe she presents to your own team? Because you've seen a bunch of good scores this year. I'm just curious what you make of this one.
Yeah, no, she can. You said it. I was going to say she can really score the ball in a variety of ways. She can make threes. She can get to the rim. She gets to the free throw line. She's really good off of ball screens, and I think they execute really well off ball screens in general. So she presents a really difficult challenge for us, and I think it's going to take a collective effort team, like the off the ball screens and all that type of stuff. But she's really good. She's competitive. She's feisty. But just the fact that like you see some kids they shoot the three really well, but they don't put it on the floor, and it kind of gives you some opportunities strategically to stop that. But she's a really, really well-rounded guard. So if you take one thing away, you take the three away, she'll put the ball on the floor. You try to guard her off the dribble, she'll shoot the three. And so I just think we have to have a really good game plan against her because she can really get going and make it tough on you.
Victor Flores, 406 MT Sports. You mentioned they're kind of picking up full court on defense. You guys, of course, do that too. So how much do you think this game will come down to who kind of succeeds more in those
Yeah, no, I think a big part of the game will be who kind of takes care of the ball, who makes good decisions at the end of breaking pressure, and can you be efficient and when you do break the pressure at getting good shots. But, they're in the top 10 in the country in steals. And, yeah, so they I think that's going to be a big part, big thing for us is our ability to handle the ball and make good decisions when we do break the pressure.
Their scheme, their defensive scheme, anything about their kind of man switch heavy scheme that stands out?
Yeah, no, they switch a lot, and so just we don't see that a whole lot throughout the year. But our ability to execute versus once we get in the half court, just to be able to execute and generate good shots will be a big part of it as well.
Parker Cotton again from the Bozeman Daily Chronicle. Of course, both of you are coming out of conference tournaments and conference season where you are preparing to see a team for a second or a third time. Now that you're in a part of a year where you're preparing to see a team once, what sort of challenges go into that? And is it a lot of on-the-floor stuff? Is it a lot of film stuff? How do you make the most of this time that you have in between your last game and this one?
I think a combination of both, because you're right. Like for our players, playing somebody in the Big Ten and Big Ten tournament, we've already seen them, and they're familiar with the personnel and the scheme and all that type of stuff. But Montana State with a definitely a different style that we haven't seen necessarily. We had to show on film because it's hard to recreate that with your practice team to do it exactly the way they do it. And so we watched a lot of film on them, make sure our players were familiar with that, and then tried to do the best we could in practice to kind of give them a feel for what it's going to feel like on the court.
Brianna McKay, the Columbus Dispatch. You mentioned on Sunday Elsa was dealing with something. Is she going to be available for tomorrow?
Still kind of a game time decision, but it's going to be close.
If she isn't available, kind of where do you kind of make up for the defense and that rebounding that she brings off the bench?
We'll play Ebony. That'll she'll get a lot of minutes, and I have a lot of confidence in her. She's experienced and she's played in games like this before. So.
Building off that, do you have any update on Ava, I guess?
Yeah, Ava's in a good place. She should be good to go.
Can you talk about just kind of what you're going to expect from Ava being on the sideline for so long and being a freshman in her first tournament? Just what are you hoping to see from her?
Yeah, hopefully she can give us good minutes and kind of score the ball from the perimeter. That's what she does, so I think she'll be ready to do that.
And during your time here at Ohio State, you've had nothing but success in the first round. How do you kind of just prepare the team not to look too far ahead and stay in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, as I've told the team all week, Montana State's used to winning. They've won 30 games for a reason. They're well coached. They play extremely hard, and they're going to show up here and compete to win. And so we better have the same mindset if we want to be successful.
Coach, I'm curious if you have any familiarity with Tricia Binford, if you've met in any kind of coaching circle in the past, or at all familiar with what her career has been. She played in the WNBA up in Cleveland, and just any thoughts on what she has done? She's
Done a great job, and she's got a great reputation in our profession. And I haven't really crossed paths with her a whole lot. I did, spend 2 years in Seattle, so I was in the West. But I know she's got a really good reputation as a great coach, a high character person, and runs a great program.
Anything else for Coach? He'll get right. Well, you got it. Yep. Sorry about that, Caleb. Front row.
Hey, Coach, thanks for the time. Thomas Costello, Langer, and Holy Land. Can you kind of compare and contrast the presses that you have and Montana State has?
Yeah, I mean, they have some similarities in terms of disrupting the other team. Theirs is usually a little bit of run and jump, and ours is a little more of a zone press, I guess is what I would say. But it's the same thing. It's disrupting the other team, wearing on the other team, trying to create turnovers to create easy baskets.
And then question kind of outside of the game. Cotie recently posted a message as she got online, talked to her. She said how often people kind of go after her, attack her online and stuff. Do you have any comments on that? What does the team do to kind of provide resources to help players, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we live in a day and age where anybody can say anything online, whether it's about the program or about a specific player, and it's really unfortunate for the young women in our program and across the country because we're not unique to this. It happens everywhere, and we try to support them the best we can in terms of we do social media training and always remind them that there are trolls out there that are going to say things that aren't nice, and that in my opinion, the less you react to them or the less you respond, the more it goes away. But sometimes hard to do, and we get it. And they're young people, and they're human beings, and so sometimes they do react. But the less you can interact, the better is what our philosophy tries to be.
From 11 Warriors, Kevin, a lot of your players have said you don't feel like you all have played your best basketball yet this year. Would you agree with that assessment? And what do you think it takes to find that here in this tournament?
Yeah, I probably created a self-fulfilling prophecy because I said at the beginning of the year with so many new people, I think it's going to take a while, and we've been so reliant on people like J.C. Sheldon for leadership and consistency, and so I think at our best this year has been really good, but we just haven't found a rhythm where we've consistently been close enough to 40 minutes of that to feel like we've played our best, and so I think that's the key. We're just trying to be the best version of ourselves tomorrow against Montana State.
What do you think it's going to take here in this tournament for you all to be able to do that across multiple games, to be able to make a run in this tournament?
I think that one of the biggest things is play off the bench in terms of our depth is to kind of keep our team fresh and be able to sub and get our bench in there and have 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 people play well. I think will be a big part of it. And I think, Jelani, Cotie, probably Taylor Thierry, really having a great tournament would go a long way in terms of leading the team.
Any other questions for Coach? Seeing none. Coach, thank you very much. All the best tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.